All right, for these last three problems, 15, 16, and 17, I want to show you a different tool. It's a tool that gets a bad rep because it's kind of one of those do your homework for you tools, similar to how you could have used photomath to do most of Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. Wolfram Alpha is a tool that is really important to be comfortable with as you move forward and start doing calculus. Wolfram Alpha is great. It has competitors, but Wolfram Alpha is great because you can ask it questions the way you'd ask me a question. Hey, Mr. Lofthouse, how do I find the limit as x approaches, I spell approach wrong, approaches 1 of, and then your function. Wolfram Alpha will interpret that English phrase as a mathematical expression. Whereas if you remember photomath, you had to have the right font and you have to hold your phone just right, and it had all kinds of issues. Typing the function feels a little bit like novice code writing. If you've never written any code, this might feel wonky. But if I want to get that fraction into Wolfram Alpha, I'm going to separate the numerator in its own parentheses, x minus 1, to get a denominator, just using the division key. And then I also need my denominator in a set of parentheses. One other thing to note, square root. This is one of those things you just have to know, where you can just Google it. Square root is SQRT. It looks like squirt. So square root of x, and then I want a minus 1 in that denominator as well. So getting the function in there is a bit weird looking. But again, asking it what's the limit, you can type it exactly the way you'd say it. Hitting enter, you'll notice that Wolfram Alpha does a great job at interpreting. It's saying, hey, is this what you want? If so, your answer's 2. More importantly than just giving you an answer, zoom into this graph real quick. There we go. It will give you a graph similar to Desmos. It's already zoomed in where you want it. With Desmos, you might have to jump up, down, left, and right. It's giving you your x-axis here. We want to know, as we're getting close to 1, what's our y value, and it's already circled the important part of this graph for us. So it gives you a nice plot, and again, the reason I'm showing you this tool, there are many others, but the reason I'm showing you Wolfram Alpha is it is purpose designed for students taking calculus. If you remember Taylor series, hey look, there's no x's, x to the first, x squared, x cubed, x to the fourth, so on and so forth. This is a program that is designed for the calculus student in mind. So it's a great tool to have in your back pocket, good for double checking your work, or if you're trying to turn in your homework tomorrow and it's already 11:59 at night and you just want to go to bed. So we'll do 2 more. I'll show you a couple of shortcuts on Wolfram Alpha. One of them, since we're talking about limits, if I want to know the limit, now I'm looking at number 16. As x approaches, instead of typing the word approaches, I can just make a little arrow. Note, it thinks I want to do 0. I don't want to do 0. I want the limit as x approaches -2. And then my function is going to be 2 to the x power. To get an exponent, it's this little up arrow. 2 to the x power plus 3. And that gave us our limit, 13/4 or 3.25 if you like decimals. Once again, we can zoom in and get a nice picture of where that thing is. So as x is approaching -2, right here, 3.25 is our limit. And the Taylor series, if you're feeling risky. Let's do the very last one here, number 17. This one's quite a bit longer. So now I want the limit as x approaches 3. And now I have a ugly function. We've got x squared, again that caret key above the 6 will get you that exponent you need, x squared minus 5x plus 6, divided by another set of parentheses, x squared minus 7x plus 12. Hit enter. Very important to double check that it interpreted this function correctly. It will tell you what it thinks you typed in, so that's at the very top here, and if this is correct, then that's your limit, -1. Again, you can zoom in to get a graphical representation of that. So using the help of Wolfram Alpha, we were able to get these last 3 limits, 2, 3.25, and the one we just found was -1. Again, Wolfram Alpha, don't be afraid to jump on and use it. No, you won't have it during a test quiz or a final, but it is a great way to double check your work, especially once we start actually using limits to solve other problems. Having it in your back pocket's a good thing. So that's all a bunch of limits that exist. Nothing too crazy happened here. We use a calculator, we use Desmos, we use Wolfram Alpha. Let's take a look at some problems that can come up, and then we'll call it a day for this section.